Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cold War Preppers nonfiction science or nonfiction post-apocalyptic book club. So right now it looks like I'm the only one here. So if you would please, as you come in, just go ahead and announce yourself in the chat. I would greatly appreciate it. So just a couple of thoughts. Tonight we're finishing up with A. American and Alan Kay's book. So tonight will be the last night that we're talking about this book. Been a great book. Like I said, this chapter 1 in this book is just phenomenal. And it discusses things that most other people don't discuss. And that's the mental stuff. That's the name of it, chapter 1, the mental stuff. I also think that back in the back, he's got some fantastic postscripts. He's got recommended reading. He's got some recommended trainings, skinny medics, medical training, and how to gather intelligence, firearms training, and all that kinds of stuff. It's in the back end of this book. So that alone is really worth it. So, make sure you get it. And we'll finish that book up tonight. Welcome, Bus Stop. Welcome, Rugby 9. Glad to see you all. So we've got 3 chapters. One of those chapters is only like 3 or 4 pages tonight, and that's chapter 18, I believe. But anyhow, we'll finish that book up tonight. If you look up above the second comment, hello, Texas Redleg. Welcome. I hope you can join us tomorrow night. I'll send you the invite link if you want to be on with us. I would greatly like that. So I was debating, what are we going to do for a hello Moonsprout. What are we going to do for a replacement book? If we finish this one tonight, then what are we going to do? And so I started looking around and I went through my library. I said, Jerry Ahern's book is phenomenal, and I would really like to do this one. So I got this at Half Price Books, and then I took a look at when I got it, and this is unbelievable. Nope, that I ate at Panda Express while I was reading it. But look at this. I bought this book in, January 29th of 2013. So this book is 10 years old since I bought it, let alone, let me see what the publication date on it was. But anyhow, Jerry Ahern is just phenomenal. If you can get any of his books, I strongly recommend them. What's the publication date? I can't find it. Anyhow, it's got to be before 2009. So I figured you all might want a little bit newer book than Jerry Ahern's book. Hello. And so what I did was I went through all my stuff, and then I went through a whole bunch of others. I spent about 4 hours researching this. So I found a series of 3 books that are written by Ted Riley. And I'm running out of battery here on my MacBook. So there we go. We plugged it in. And now we've got juice. So I found this set of 3 books by Ted Riley, and they were just published March 3rd of 2021. So they're only 2 years old. But the title of it is When Crisis Hits Suburbia, a modern-day prepping guide to effectively bugging in and protecting your family home in a societal collapse, or survival prepping for the modern family to prepare for any crisis. Now, this is only one of the 3 books in the series. So the other book is basically about power. What do you do in a grid down type of a scenario? Then the 3rd book is about long-term food storage. So the 3 books together are about $50. I think that's a very affordable thing. We're only going to do the one, the one book, When Crisis Hits Suburbia. So we will not start on that book until May 2nd, which is the first Tuesday in May. So next week, what we'll do is I'll get the book, Amazon Prime. I ordered it, and I'll get it in tomorrow. I'll do a cursory overview of it and see what it is, how we're going to break it up to discuss it. And then once we get that done, kind of next week, Tuesday, we'll use as an introduction to the book. And then we'll actually start our discussion on May 2nd. So let's get. Oh, tomorrow night. I'm really excited about tomorrow night. We're going to be talking about unrestricted warfare by Colonels. I'm going to say Liang and Jiang Sui, and these are colonels in the People's Liberation Army Navy. They wrote this book after the 2000. I'm sorry, the 1991 Desert Storm, and lessons that they learned about Desert Storm. And then this is basically a guidebook on how China is going to overtake the U.S. without firing a shot. And so this is unrestricted warfare. Basically, the U.S. Army calls it fifth generation warfare. And that is, how do you do terrorist activities to get a country to its knees without those terrorist activities being considered terrorist activities? So, things like mysterious derailings of trains and mysterious burnings of food production facilities, or mysterious explosions in a dairy cattle lot that can kill 18,000 cattle in one blow. So all of those, if you take them independent of each other, they're just a dot on the map. But then when you realize that the whole intention is not to have those dots connect, then they connect. So that's what we'll be talking about tomorrow night, and have a couple of real great people who are going to be joining us to discuss that. Okay, so tonight's discussion. Little Lone Prepper, hi, welcome. Glad to see you. Let me get rid of these other notifications I have over here so I can. Angry Prepper is talking about a bad feeling in the air. Oh, well, we're going to miss that. Okay, so let's start here with the book, Decline and Decay. Oops, I grabbed the wrong one. This is for Thursday night. Okay, so this is the one we're talking about tonight. So we're going to be talking about chapter 17, The Juice, and it's not that long. It's only about 5 or 6 pages where he's talking about electrical power. It starts off with, when there is no power, a little goes a long way. So, people learn how to do things. Just north of me here is Bartlett Electric Co-op, and you can look it up, Bartlett, Electric Co-op. I did some consulting work for them, some human resources consulting work, and they were the very first electric cooperative in the U.S. Under the Rural Electrification Act of 1930. Oh gosh, I'm going to say 31 or 33, one of those two. But anyhow, that was the same one that formed the Tennessee Valley Authority and the Lower Colorado River Authority here in Texas. So that was the Rural Electrification Act, and it formed co-ops. So, ask those people about how they got a little bit of power to the homes, and how just a little bit of power, enough to power a refrigerator or a light or something like that, electric motors for pumps, for water and things like that. A little bit of power went a long way. And that's basically what he's talking about here. So number one is steam power, and to generate a steam turbine or a steam piston to run an engine, in order to basically run an alternator or a generator. And if you're going to do that, think about wood. So most people don't realize it, but you need your wood to cure for 6 months to a year, and that is cut it down. Gosh, what I'm going to say, splinter. I want to say splinter it, but that's not the right word. Split it. Split the. Hello, Scott. And but you want to, and I just said it, split. You want to split that wood, dry it, cure it for 6 months to a year before you burn it. Otherwise, you're going to get all kinds of buildup, and you're going to get bad smoke. Green wood is terrible to burn. You want dry wood. So if you're thinking about you're going to need wood for heat, for power generation, or anything else in the ensuing calamity, make sure you're starting to store that now, so that you have some in order to get you. Seasoning the wood is the correct term. Thank you, Jay, and welcome, by the way. And Mitch J, welcome to you too. So you want to season your wood for 6 months to a year. The second thing he talks about is a gas generator. I have a 5 kW Honda. I also had a 5 kW Onan. Now the Onan ran on propane, and it's the quietest generator I have ever heard. Propane generators are typically quiet. This one was actually built for an RV. I had it on my disaster response trailer, and they're fantastic. They're quiet. They do their job. They take peak energy when you turn stuff on. That's when you're going to get peak draw. Did everything extremely well. I had 100-pound tanks, 200-pound tanks, and it was great. And I could use the 10-pound tanks if I wanted to. It was a simple changeover, and so getting a plethora of different types of propane storage is fantastic. If you're in a rural area and you are dependent upon propane anyway, you might as well get a propane generator, because you're probably going to have one of those 1,000-pound propane tanks in your backyard that they come by and refill once a year or once every 6 months. But the disadvantage to that Onan generator was, man, the maintenance on it was something else. You had to clean the filters after almost every 100 hours. You had to replace the spark plugs after every 100 hours. Hello, Holly, welcome. So the maintenance on that Onan propane powered generator was just unbelievable. The Honda 5K, on the other hand, keeps on going. Change the oil every 1,200 hours, change filters every 1,200 hours. I've never changed a plug in it, but that's probably got about 3,000 hours on it. Probably time to replace the plug. If you're going to be dependent upon either a propane or a gas generator, make sure you get all the things you're going to need now in preparation for when you're going to have to use it for a prolonged period of time. Hello, Overland Bear Gear Guy. So that means, get yourself extra spark plugs, get extra air filters, get extra fuel filters. Make sure you have a stock on those, because the life expectancy of your generator is not only as good as how long your fuel lasts, it's also how good your spark plug and your filters last. So make sure you have plenty of those. Now let's talk about your fuel. Toolman Tim turned me on to something, and I have to acknowledge him. I've been using Stabil, and he turned me on to another product called Pry-G. And it not only will store your gasoline for anywhere up to about 2 to 3 years, but you can take gasoline that has gone bad from age, add a little bit of Pry-G back into it, and then it's going to restore that gasoline back to where it's usable. Really important, especially since we have these ethanol mixes in them, and everything else, that you use that additive and then restorative in order to keep your gasoline engine and your gasoline going. Make sure you keep them stored in airtight containers out of direct sunlight, and that's going to take good care of them. Solar. Remember, one of the lessons I learned during Snowmageddon 2021 here in Central Texas: if it's overcast, you get no solar production. If there is ice and snow on top of your solar panels, you get no solar production. Let me take a look here and see what I produced and what I consumed so far today on mine. I have a whole house system. So, gosh, I thought I corrected that. It's going to give me the introductory page here. Real quick, let me take a look. Come on, in phase. Okay, so far today, and it's been overcast the majority of the day. We had rain from about 10 o'clock until around 1 o'clock. But so far today, I've produced 11.27 kilowatt hours, and I've consumed 9.83 kilowatt hours. I exported to the grid 0.82 kilowatt hours. And then let me see and then 3 watts went to battery backup storage. I guess just 3 watts out of my battery backup system just disappeared. So every once in a while, it just kind of has to regenerate that. And according to that, I am now back at 100% of my. Okay, so let me give it to you here. The Stabil is the one that I was using. And then the one that I'm using now is Pry-G. There you go. That should help. So those are the two. I get Stabil at Walmart, and Pry-G I got on Amazon. Let me see if I have a link for it here. I'm in books here. Um, but either one of those two, stable will keep it stable for about a year and a half, 2 years. If you keep it out of direct sunlight and in an airtight container, Pri-G will keep it a little bit longer, and it'll also restore it. There we go. So a 16-ounce bottle, which will last you for a good time, is $27. There you go. Um, so that's kind of where we are with that. Now solar. So I was telling you about my whole house solar system, and I'm actually increasing my solar production by 50%. So I'm going to actually I want to have more panels to make sure that I'm producing all the electricity I want to use during the daytime when I have to run air conditioners. Let me tell you, daytime in come July, August through September, end of September here in Central Texas. I don't know who in their right mind settled this area, but of course I'm also originally from El Paso, so the high desert heat um, is a little bit different. It'll get up into the hundred and teens in El Paso. Yeah, but if you get in the shade and you have a little bit of a breeze, it is semi-bearable. I would imagine the same thing in the Midland, Odessa area. But finding shade in West Texas is difficult. So that's kind of difficult there. Um, let me catch up on the chat here. Oh, thank you, Utah Mike. Great suggestion. Yes, we need to make sure whether you are using a gas generator or you're using a um, like my own end, a propane generator. Make sure you have plenty of oil for your generators. Great suggestion, Utah Mike. Thank you for remembering that. So anyhow, so I also have a Jackery 1.5, no, 2.5, 2000, Jackery 2000 Pro. And so that is a separate solar system that I can lay out in the backyard with its panels. And in case something happens with the whole house system, I also have another one, Pinball Preparedness put a link up. He had a deal with one of his vendors, and they had a solar powered refrigerator freezer, and I got it. It came with two batteries, but the problem with that is to charge the battery, it has to be in the system. And then you get that battery fully charged. You have to take that battery out and then put a new battery in order to get that one charged. It came with two batteries. I would much rather it just came with one battery and a solar panel. I had to go out and buy a solar panel to put with it. But hello, Butch. Welcome. And so anyhow, you can find those. I think it was about $700 for the solar powered refrigerator freezer. And but keep your eyes open for those. That would be something great for you. So that's kind of where we are. The wood powered generator. You've got now there are, and he doesn't mention it in the book, but there are wind turbine generators out there. So that if you want to get a small home wind powered system, I think there is one company that even has a wind power, solar power combination and a switch so you can turn it over to whichever one's producing the most electricity at that time. It would be great if I'd had a wind powered one when we had the ice storm and my solar panels were all covered in ice and it was all overcast. So that would have been fantastic. Hello, Greengrass Grows. Welcome. I haven't seen you before, so a special welcome. So that's kind of where we are with getting the juice. One of the things you also might want to consider is getting yourself something like a small uh, solar charger, and with that, get a battery recharger, and then get some lithium-ion batteries, double A's, triple A's, that you can keep those batteries for your other battery-powered things. I have a small solar system that in my bug-out bag and in my everyday carry bag. And so what that does is it's just enough to basically keep a charge on your cell phone or on a battery. Most of I am getting to the point now where most of my flashlights have this USB recharging device. So the USB cord fits into whatever USB charger you have, and then the other end comes here. And so all of my flashlights now, that's what I'm doing, is I'm getting that kind of a charging system on my flashlights. I think even my O light has that. Let me check here. Yeah, so the O light even has the same charging system at the base. So all of those, you can get yourself a small USB charger, and then just a small solar charger with a USB port, and then you can keep all your flashlights going, as well as a whole bunch of other things. So that's a great thing about the juice. Okay, the next chapter that he has us going to. Oh no, Holly. Well, we're glad that you're back. Um, Let me see here. Okay, we're good. Let me check this one out. What's your thoughts on the looting, swarming in Chicago in the name of reparations? We're getting ready for a race war. If you take a look in California, they're giving hundreds of thousands of dollars to anybody simply because of their race. None of those people and none of the generations of those people for the last 2 or 3 generations was ever slaves. So I don't see the need to give them reparations. And none of the people who are paying the taxes to give those reparations were ever slave owners. So I think it's time we move past that. And but I mean, if they're willing to riot over it, then there's other people who are going to meet them out in the streets, and it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. And the bad thing is, I don't think that all of the people of that race are of the mindset that these people who are doing the destruction are. I can assure you of one thing. The one way that if you want to convince me of something, you don't convince me of your opinion while you're standing on my toes, spitting in my face, yelling in my ears, and punching me in the gut. I will never agree with you if that's the conditions that you want to impose upon me in order for me to believe what you're saying. I'm more of a reason guy. Give me the reasons. Tell me why it's better than what I already have. And just use logic. Tell me why things are the way they are. And the unfortunate thing, like the big BLM movement, I was not for the BLM movement. I have not watched any NFL football. The Cowboys were the last team to kneel, and when the Cowboys knelt, I was a Cowboy fan since Dandy Don Meredith and Tex Schramm owned it, and of course, what was his name? Now I'm going to forget the coach's name. Tom Landry. Tom Landry was a coach, and I've been a fan of the Cowboys since I was in high school. I can tell you what time you have to wake up in Korea, the Middle East, Germany, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Hong Kong to watch a Cowboys game. But when they knelt, they lost my loyalty. And for a cause that the data didn't support. Actually, there are more of other races who are shot than there are of the one that they were fighting for. So, I mean, yes, there are cases of racism, and we need to fix those, but it's not at the level that it was. And then we find out that the people who were the main instigators of that used the money that was donated for reparations or for amending things for their own personal use. So it was all a big scam. And so that's just my way, just my opinion. Okay, so we're done with the juice. Now let's go over to, let me see. Here's another one, Holly Islands. Yeah, I don't know what was, I went on Twitter today. I go on Twitter probably once a week to check it. And I was on there and for some reason it would not let me access my account. So I had to restart Twitter. So Wednesday night, tomorrow night, we're talking about, where's that book? We're talking about this, Unrestricted Warfare. And that's the 2 colonels from the Chinese People's Liberation Army Navy who are talking about how they're going to defeat the U.S. without firing a shot. Internet connections is one of the things that they're talking about in the book. So we'll be talking about that tomorrow. Um, yeah, I'm finding out that my Sunday afternoons are fantastic without having to watch the games, because there were a couple teams that I followed. I was extremely loyal to the Cowboys. I liked the Vikings, but I've got Sundays free now. The Houston Oilers was my second favorite team. And of course, then when they were playing Buffalo in a playoff game in 1991, I believe it was, season, and they were ahead like 64-0. And we went to Walmart at halftime, and they fired Bum Phillips at halftime. And then they came back, and Buffalo beat them, even though the Oilers were ahead by 64 points at halftime. It was a crazy game, but that's something else. Okay, so let me see where we are. Now we're in downtime. So in downtime, what he's talking about is make sure you have plenty of games for the kids. You have like I have lawn darts, and I have what is it where you throw the bean bag into the whole cornhole, and then we have cards, we have Monopoly, we have board games, and all different kinds of things that he recommends. Now, to be totally honest with you, you're not going to have that much downtime. Um, and think of the pioneers of the Old West, and that's kind of where we are as far as downtime. Um, so one of the things that he also recommends in his book, and if you've seen my previous videos, I have a lot of books that I've shown. I took a survey of the top 50 classics books, like Moby Dick and oh gosh, Stranger in a Strange Land by Robert Heinlein. And what are the classics, and then what are the best science fiction books, and what are the best fiction books? What should boys and girls be reading? So I took that survey about a year ago, and I've been working earnestly on getting a library of the best books to have to teach somebody reality, even some philosophical books like uh, Plato's The Republic and things like that. So you want a good library, and get some books where you can teach them basic math, reading, writing, grammar. Um, I have a plane geometry book for my grandsons, just in case. And then, so how are you going to educate our children and have them come back up to the level where we are if SHTF happens tomorrow? Um, and then it gets lost. And my sister cleaned out my mother's house when she passed. Well, my sister was living with her at the time, and so they cleaned out a lot of the stuff. And but they brought over 4 footlockers full of stuff. My stamp collection from Boy Scouts, and then I was into stamp collecting when I was in Germany. I came back, and my mother got into stamp collecting with me, and so she had all of my stamp collecting books. Somehow or other, my coin collection disappeared. I had all my silver coins. Um, my Boy Scout sash, with all my merit badges and my eagle and all that kind of stuff. Gosh, some of the stuff that I sent mom when I was on active duty, just mementos and gifts from different places around the world. It's tough. Um, yes, it's going to be an M class, not an X class. So yeah, there's always that possibility. It depends on how well our magnetic belt is going to protect us. It doesn't an M or an X class, either one can take us out if we don't have adequate protection. Um, yeah, we so I lived when I was single in Germany. I lived in the bachelor NCO quarters, and so I by choice I got the largest room in German barracks. They have different size rooms. I had the very largest one, so they said there had to be two of us. So I had a staff sergeant in there with me, and we divided our room up. Oh, we had it fantastic, but we had the best stereo system and the best television, and so yeah, and I worked rotating tricks. So when you're in signals intelligence and you're listening to enemy radio, you operate 24 hours a day. So we had 4 tricks, 1, 2, 3, 4. I was on trick 2. You work 6 days, which was from 7 a.m. until 3:30 p.m. Then you work, and then 2 days off. Then you work 6 swing shifts, which was from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. And then you work 6 mid shifts, which was from 11 p.m. to 7:30 a.m. or 6:30 a.m., 6:30 a.m., 7, something like that. Anyhow, days was 8.5 hours, swings was 8 hours, and mids was 7.5 hours. But you work 6 on, 2 off, rotating. So and it was crazy. I overslept once going from mids to days. I had a hard time adjusting to those, but I did that for 6 years. So I never could, schedule a TV show. I will tell you that midnight showings we had midnight meals, and we also had midnight showings at the theater for people who came off swing shift. So it was great. Never let go of the good memories. Let go of the bad ones. That's the most important thing. Let me see. Yes, and so after I spent all this time looking at half price books for these books, somebody said go to the education series because in there they have all of the books for homeschooling. So get the appropriate books and workbooks for homeschooling for 1 through 12, and that's what I've started doing. So I've got one entire bookcase that is nothing but devoted to educating youth who, in case we don't have an educational system available to us. But anyhow, that's kind of where that is. Okay, the last chapter in the book is all right. Yeah, I started college in '70 as well. So one of my first books I had to read was I had a poli sci class my freshman year, and I had Dr. Uh, what was his name? Uh, anyhow, his book was The Population Bomb. Oh, Dr. Paul Ehrlich, Ehrlich, The Population Bomb, and he said that the Earth was incapable of sustaining human life. And once we got to the population he expected us to have in 1995. So this was in 1970. So kind of like 1984ish type stuff. And no, not 1984. Soylent Green. Okay, so let's talk about hygiene. And so we're going to be talking about, let me see, we did downtime. Now we're doing hygiene. And so the first one's going to be human waste. And so one of the things this is a wide variety, cacophony of things. Number one, make sure you get antibiotics, like this, the Jace antibiotics. Make sure you get that if you can afford it. A family member, we had a sewage backup, and it just so happened that the backup of the sewage accidentally got into the wellhead for our well water. And so we had a family member who was one of the first confirmed cases of cryptosporidiosis here in the greater Austin area back in 1990. I want to say 1997. That is not a pleasant sight. If you don't have any kind of antibiotics to treat that, dysentery, cryptosporidiosis, cholera, typhus, typhoid, those types of things, that's going to be a killer. So making sure you have the proper hygiene and the antibiotics is going to be critical to you. So make sure that you have something like a luggable loo or an outdoor toilet. I would recommend having 2 luggable loos, one for liquids, one for solids. You're going to take your solids, you're going to dispose of those in some sort of a disposal area, burn them, or you can use something like the stuff they use to clean septic tanks and septic systems, and you put down in your toilet in order to compost it. You want to get those. That's what I have. I forget the name of it. I had it written down in my notes to get ready, and then I've lost my notes. But anyhow, you can use those, and you can use crystals. There's another product called Eco Gel that you can get from Rainy Day Foods. They've got it on sale right now, It does two things. Number one, it gives you a little bit of a sanitary odor. It also helps with decomposition of human fecal matter. And then you can also use sawdust, cat litter. You can use all different kinds of stuff to try to help with Ridex. Thank you, Scott. You can use all kinds of different things to help with that. There are also composting toilets you can get for RVs, and they have like a 30-gallon tank underneath that recycles it and allows it to um, compost before you actually get rid of it. But it's a liquid substance when you get rid of it, so it can go through. Make sure you have whatever you're going to use as far as a site to dispose of your human waste. Make sure it's at least 100 yards away from where you're living, and hopefully away from and at least 100 yards away and downstream, not upstream, from where you're going to be sourcing your water. Now, as in the case of the Brushy Creek mud spill, what happened was we didn't know it, but the wellhead was 100 yards upstream from where the um, pumping station was. And when it got into Brushy Creek, there was actually a karst, a fracture in the limestone that took that raw sewage directly down to the wellhead. We did not know that. It was all subterranean, but we found it out later with the investigation. So that's part of hygiene. Make sure you have plenty of soap and disinfectants available so that people can clean their hands after going to the bathroom. That's going to be another one of those things, because just going to the bathroom and not having something to clean your hands and then accidentally getting one germ mixed in when you go to drink a cup of coffee, drink a bottle of water, or anything like that. One germ contacting with your face is enough to make it happen. So make sure that you have plenty of hand washing and hand cleaning equipment available to you around the human waste. Then you're also going to want to make sure you have clean bedding and clothing. Let me tell you something, my experience. When you're out in the field in your sleeping bag can get crusty after just 2 weeks. So that's one of the main reasons you want to never wear any of your clothing into your sleeping bag. The less dirty stuff you put into your sleeping bag, the longer it will remain clean. And that's going to be one of the toughest things to keep clean in a field environment. It's going to be your sleeping bag or whatever. So make sure you keep your clothing and your bedding as clean as possible, even if it's just airing it out or rinsing it out and then drying it. So along with that, make sure you have clotheslines and clothespins. I think clothespins are going to be one of those invaluable objects that people didn't think of. We will, but they won't. And so, having the ability to dry your clothes is going to be important. I found a hand crank washing machine. I'll have to research and put in the notes if I can find it where I bought it. But I found a hand crank washing machine. It's a tub. It's European. You put your article of clothing in, and for me, my number one priority is going to be socks. I cannot wear socks that are dirty, and that I got to change them daily. Just a thing from the military. And so you put it in, you wash it. You got your liquid soap in there. You wash it, you drain it. You can put in some water to rinse it. You can crank it, and then it spins the tub, and you can rinse it, and then you can do it real fast with the spinning motion, and it basically gets all that water out so that now you can hang it up to dry. So it's just a small 1-gallon tub, and you're probably only going to do one article of clothing at a time. But I tell you what, if you don't have your electric washer and dryer, that's what you're going to have. Let me see if I can catch up with chat here real quick. So where are we? Gosh, I've missed a lot. I'm sorry. I've been kind of pontificating, haven't I? Yeah, I typically don't tell other people what I am and am not buying. I don't want to advocate boycotting something. I just choose myself not to purchase from them or to do them. My thing with Budweiser and Bud Light was actually from the early 70s. While they were at that time they were marketing themselves as a sporting company, the sportsman's company, the hunter, the fisher, and everything else. But at the same time, they were donating all kinds of money to anti-gun legislation. So that's kind of when I stayed away from Bud and Bud Light and all those guys. Um, see, this is kind of personal stuff here. Uh, We talked about we talked about the CME. A good one there is a guy by the name of, oh gosh, I'll think of the name. I'll put the link down below. But there's a guy I watch every morning. It's only 2 or 3 minutes, but he does a fantastic job with solar things every morning. We talked about that. We talked about that. Ridex we got. Sawdust works well. Roaming Prepper mentioned a tall insulated drink cooler filled with bleach water for hands. There's another one, and I still have them outside. I'll have to do a video on it and show them to you. But and I even forget the name of them. We got 3.5-gallon tall drink coolers, and so drink in both hot and cold. So I have about 5 of them here at the house, and but one of them I use as a hand wash station. So it has a little adapter. You've got that little spigot that you pull on. Well, this one, the adapter attaches behind that spigot and then comes down. So when you push on it with your hands underneath like this, it turns the water on to get water on your hands. Then it had a soap dispenser up top where you can get the soap your hands, and then rinse them off. And then it had a paper towel dispenser on it as well. Cambro is the name of the company, Cambro. Expensive, but I'll tell you what, they keep drinks cool or warm for a very long time. Yes, you can use cat litter in the loo bags. I would recommend it in the fecal matter, not in the urine. And the reason is because what you're going to do is you're going to clump up the urine. And right now, urine, you can dispose of it within 25, 50 yards of the home. That's no problem. You might even want to have a urine pit, and that would be okay. It's the fecal matter that's really going to cause you problems, and that's what you want to get rid of. And so that's where I would use any kind of a Rid-X or anything like that. Girls, I can't let you out. Go back over on the couch, okay? Yes, and so the same thing. I bought some chemistry lab bottles, squeeze bottles, and those are going to be our individual wash bottles, and we're going to have a wash bottle and a wash rag for each person so that they can cleanse themselves, kind of like a bidet, I would say. And that's what, when we run out of toilet paper, that's what we'll be doing. Yes, you can get liners for your sleeping bags. As a matter of fact, that's one of the reasons why I invested in the poncho liner. Is I use the poncho liner as my liner inside my sleeping bag. Poncho liner is one of the best pieces of equipment I've got. As a matter of fact, if I could take this portable into the bedroom right now, I will bet you, because Helen's in the bedroom watching TV instead of in the living room, I will bet you she's covered up in my poncho liner. I bought that poncho liner in 1977, 76 or 77, and I bought an extra one so that she could use it. But the old one, the 76 one, 77 one, is the one that she likes. So get yourself a good poncho liner, and I think that would be fantastic. And that's what I use inside my sleeping bag. Yeah, Pat, that I wholeheartedly agree with that. One of the other things is I also stock up on, I have a lot of his foot powder, and then any kind of fungal cures in case you get any kind of fungus on your toes or on your feet. And another thing you might want to take a look into is some toenail fungus medications. So foot powder, fungal cures, and toenail fungus cures going to be extremely important. Take care of your feet. Take care of your feet. That's one of the most important things there are. So one of the other things that we do here that they do in Asia that I think is extremely smart. As a matter of fact, I had a talk with a guy today We went out to lunch at one of our favorite restaurants and for lunch. And I had to go to the bathroom, and I was talking to the guy, and I said, Helen had offered, she was watching something, and there's a company that is installing urinals in homes. And she said, would you like for me to order a urinal for the extra bathroom? And I said, no. And the reason is because if you go to a public restroom and there's a urinal there, that's one of the reasons why I take my shoes off at the front door and never wear my shoes into the house. That is the floor around a men's urinal in a public restroom is one of the grossest things you'll ever see in your life. And if you realize that you're stepping on that and then it's drying and you're carrying it into your house, you would never wear your shoes inside your house again either. But when you think of all the stuff at church yesterday, church Sunday, I stepped out the front door and was waiting. And believe it or not, hello, Triple G, I stepped in chewing gum in the front of the church. And so I had to clean chewing gum off the bottom of my shoe. So, we don't wear our shoes inside the house. Just get yourself a bench by the front door. You can put your shoes underneath. The minute you step in the house, take your shoes off, put on your house slippers, wear house slippers in the house, wear shoes outside. And I think you'll be a lot happier and a lot safer. The whoopee, that's what it's called. The poncho liner's the whoopee. So, and Dragon Slayer agrees. Yeah, you're going to use it. You can use it in milder temperatures. I would say probably down to about 50 degrees. You can use that whoopee all by yourself. You don't even have to get in your sleeping bag. And then I would say one of my favorites when I was living in the bachelor's NCO quarters was just a wool blanket and a whoopee, and I was a happy camper inside on my bed. And so Greengrass says that they are a shoeless household as well, probably for the same reasons. Let me see. Jay says he worked crime scene for years and his wife wouldn't let him wear his shoes after work. I can understand why. And Triple G says he has a whoopee, probably implying that he loves his as well. Okay, so next one, the dead, taking care of the dead. I have and I got it on Amazon. I can put the link in the description after I publish this. But we have a body bag, and the body bag doubles as a litter. So it has 6 handles on it, so that you don't unzip it. You just use it to carry somebody that's injured or whatever into. Remember, we talked about the home hospital setting, and the great book for that one's going to be Alton's. Dr. Alton's emergency medical handbook. And then he's also got one on having a sick bed because of pandemics and stuff. So if somebody's ill, you can use your body bag as a litter and get them into the sick room so you can take care of them. And then, of course, if things go south, really go far south, you can unzip it's got a center zipper. You open it up, put the body inside, and then that's what you're going to use to dispose of the body so that animals and everything don't get to it. And when you bury it. So that's something you want to take consideration of. Then they kind of finish the book with a fantastic acronym, and it's called COLDER. And so he says the C stands for keep your clothes clean, also your bedding, keep your clothes and bedding clean, especially your socks. Number 2, don't overheat. So, when you overheat, as you get more and more exertion of your body, especially on a hot day, remove more and more clothing because you can easily overheat. One of the I told you in the first aid series, I went to the website to find out what are the most common camping injuries and illnesses, and heat exhaustion is in the top 10. So be very, very cautious. Make sure you stay well hydrated. Make sure that you're removing clothing and that you're trying to get as much shade as possible. In my last haul, I showed you that I got a new sunburn treatment system. So having some sort of protection on your skin to prevent sunburn, and then some way to treat it if it does happen is going to be extremely important. L is wear your clothing loose and in layers. D is stay dry. Um, E is examine clothes for damage, and then R is repair your shoes and your clothing as necessary. And then after that, the only thing that's left in the book is he's got his list of recommended readings, other books that he strongly recommends, and he's got his book of recommended training. So I'm going to try to get into one of these combat uh, shooting classes that he recommends. So that's kind of it for the book. So let's get back to the comments and see where we were. Um, let me see if I've missed anything up here. Thank you, Jay Creature, for that. Thank you, Triple G Farms, for yours. Greatly, greatly appreciate you. So let's see where we are. Uh, so I guess the next one here is going to be this one from Triple G Farms. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. By the way, I've invited Triple G Farms. He is a pharmacist by profession and really into pharmaceuticals. And so tomorrow night, as we are discussing strange things that would not necessarily be considered warfare, that are going to be used to um, disrupt our country and cause morale to fail and maybe cause them to take over. As I had a conversation with Triple G today, and we were talking about this, and he has a very unique perspective and something very, very valuable that he's going to be adding to the discussion tomorrow evening. So, and he's got a different take on it than what I do as an intelligence analyst. And I mean, it's very valid and it scared me. So if you want to see what he has to say, join us tomorrow night. I think it's going to be extremely important. Jay Creature also, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I hope the two of you realize that 80% of everything that I receive goes out the door. 40% goes to the caring place, which is our county food bank and emergency services uh, system. And then another 40% goes to St. Vincent de Paul. And for example, just yesterday, I visited with a neighbor, and I have another visit with a neighbor tomorrow. And the neighbor yesterday needed some help with her rent. She's a waitress, and she was out for 2 weeks because of the cough and then pneumonia associated with that. So that caused her income to go down. So she's late on her rent payment. So we went in and helped her with her rent payment. So that's what happens with the money that you donate, is it's being given out to people who need it far, far more than I do. So thank you very much for those donations. Addie, no, thank you. Be quiet. Okay. Thank you. Let me see here. Yeah, you've got to get the last word in, don't you? Um, yes, don't use things like the metallic survival blanket or the bivvies that are waterproof. Those things will cause your body's going to have condensation. You're going to sweat, and you don't realize it, but that will inside of a bivvy or inside of a mylar survival bag that will condense, cause condensation, and those liquid drops will come down and ruin your life. That is not fun. Um, so great tip there, Jay Creature. Thank you for adding that. We appreciate that. Um, gosh, I tell you what, I got such great moderators. They're really putting up some great links for us here. Thank you all very much. Um, no, well, the same thing. The body bag is a non-permeable plastic, and so you're going to get the same kind of condensation in there. And then of course, there's always the opportunity for somebody to mistake you for what is normally put in there instead of you being in there. Um, Let me see here. Where are we? And sorry, thought it was you sleeping in that bag. Haha. um, well, you've seen mine. I cover my face with hair so that, don't worry about that. Um, yeah, my wife knew I was a prepper when we got married back in 1984. And so between my prepping habit and my face, I don't know what she saw in me. But, that's just how it is. Uh, all kinds of Chinese police stations popping up. They closed one down in New York City. I think that was today or yesterday. I saw in the news that they closed one down, and but they're popping up, especially like places that have high Chinese populations and Chinatowns is where they're popping up. So Seattle, San Francisco, L.A. But they're popping up all over. We got to get those shut down. The same thing with we've got to get shut down the Muslim enforcement things up in the upper north that are doing the same thing. No, she is she definitely has come here, Addie. Come here. Yeah, she definitely has a mind of her own. She does what she wants. Can you come up here? Come up here. People want to see you. Jump up here. Come on. Come on, sweetheart. And so this is Addie. This is my largest Chihuahua. Oh, sweetheart. Oh, there you go. So this is the largest Chihuahua. She's around 8 pounds, and but she's something else. She's my girl. She sleeps with me. Then we have Annie, who is her twin sister, same litter. Annie's only about 6 pounds, and but she has a lot of things that she probably, had she not been found by the Humane Society, she probably would not have survived her first couple weeks. She has some blessings that are not typical with most dogs. Toes, ears, things that are out of place, and then she also. I'm talking about you. You want to come over here? Are you jealous that I'm rubbing on your sister? Huh? You can come over if you want to. Come on. And then we have my daughter had a long hair Chihuahua, a teacup long hair Chihuahua that was her companion when she was in college. And when she had her first child, the dog was jealous of the child, and so it's probably best that the two of them not stay together. So we inherited Isabella, who is our little 3 pound teacup Chihuahua, long hair, and so that's kind of the family. Um, I I will tell you what my physician told me, but you probably need to talk to a physician. Um, is make sure you get some good probiotics after you've done a regimen of antibiotics, and because that will help you with those situations. So, and also an antifungal. That's great advice. Um, Have I ever heard of caching weapons and gear inside a septic tank? Uh, it would be as long as it hasn't been used. That would be a fantastic thing. It's kind of like an oil drum. It's something you can make airtight, watertight, and put your stuff inside of it and then bury it, and that would be okay. My fear is, all these people who want to have caches all over the place. There's so much construction. If I were to put a cache down on what I thought was public property, then it would probably be built into a road and that somebody else would find it. So I don't do caches. By the way, if you look it up, Cache, a lot of people say cache, but actually in French, if it was going to be cache, it would be Cachet. So Chache is the first and preferred pronunciation is cache, like Cash. So, oh, okay. I'm sorry. I got that wrong. That's my bad. I'm sorry. So the best thing for you to do, little lone prepper, is make sure you get good medical help. So take your brother, or get your brother to go in and get a prescription. Typically, if you want to save money, and then typically you can do that as a tele um, appointment where you can get online, with a doctor, and they can pretty much diagnose that and then write the prescription for what you need to do online. Um, that's great. That's great. That's probably some sort of antifungal. Okay, so it looks like we're getting close to the end here. Um, Long-term items in used septic tanks, like rifles and all that kinds of stuff. Well, yeah, yeah, I don't have the land to do that, but I mean, if it's been cleaned out, or you're willing to deal with what's in it, that's I would be concerned about disease from long term. If it hasn't been properly cleaned or properly composted, then now I will tell you, in Germany, they use human compost as fertilizer. So we went skiing in the Alps on the Rossfeld, it's in between Berchtesgaden, which is where Hitler's eagle's nest was, and then actually when you're top of the Rossfeld, you're looking down. I mean, there's a cliff. You look straight down into Salzburg, Austria, and but we were skiing that, and we got back down to the bottom. And as I was skiing into the final leg, it was melting, and so I went face down, face first, into sewage that had been used to fertilize. Because as the snow melts, it takes that sewage down into the ground, and that's what they use for fertilizer. So that was not a pleasant experience, and people did not like riding on the bus with me. And I didn't even try to clean that ski suit; I just threw it away. So uh, let me see. So Triple G agrees telemedicine is the way to go, especially if you don't need, you know, um, no, they can probably even write orders if you need blood work or urine work or stool sample or anything like that, and then they can come back and do another teleconference with you. But what I'm finding is a lot of those that's going to be one of your least expensive ways of getting treatment in a very quick way. Avoid those walk-in medical clinics. I mean, you're going to pay an arm and a leg and then three-quarters of your head for one of those walk-in medical centers that has on the side of the road, and all. That's all it does is family family emergencies and things like that. They are expensive. I will tell you that much. They are very expensive, and your insurance may not pay for all of it. So just beware of that. Uh, okay. So I don't know enough to talk about that. So I'll be totally honest with you. So Triple G agrees that the walk-in clinics are financial nightmares. And then let me see here. So one of the things that I found out, and this is something I'm going to have to prepare for, is I was getting an upper respiratory infection about every 3 months. I mean, I was going in, we'd go through the same regimen. It went on for about 6 quarters. So probably a year and a half. Every 3 months, I'd go in with an upper respiratory infection. So finally, I saw my family doctor. I think he's probably the best one here in the greater Austin area. Matter of fact, he was my parents' family doctor as well. And But I was talking to him and he says, you know what we need to do? We need to do an allergy test. So it turns out I'm allergic to dogs. And so I've got three. And so I had to start taking weekly injections. And now I'm at the point where I built it up to where I only take one injection. Actually, it's three different shots, three different things I'm allergic to. I get those injections once a month. Since I started my allergy injections, I have not had an upper respiratory infection. So, my doctor called it. That he nailed it. Now that I have the um, allergy medication, no upper respiratory infections. I'm very, very happy with that. However, what I'm not happy with is when SHTF happens, there may not be the availability of my um, allergy medications. So that's got me concerned. So I'm going to stock up on Benadryl and make sure I have plenty of that. Um, uh, oh, okay. Yeah. So and in mine, um, I don't have one of the ones that they commonly give you. So I've got some extras that I got from my doctor, but you get four prescriptions. Okay, and so one of these is actually a replacement for azithromycin because I'm allergic to azithromycin. So when I had my discussion with the physician who wrote this, and I'll put and the link's always in the discussion down below for this. Um, and if you get one and let me know, my code gets you $10 off. And then I get a $10 commission. So I will send you that $10 commission unless you want me to donate it to the caring place or to um, St. Vincent de Paul, in which case, I'll send that $10 there. But, you get a $10 discount. I'll refund your $10 that I get in commission, or I'll donate it in your name, whichever one you want, if you want to get this. But I think this is one of the better deals out there as far as, and then I've just been contacted by another um, antibiotics company, and they would like for me to consider looking at their products. And so I'll be adding that to the list here if I agree with them and like the way they do business. So we'll see about it. Yeah, it just seems like there's a cascade or a domino effect, and quite often, one of the bad things about modern medicine is you take a medicine to get rid of a disease, and then you have to take another medicine to get rid of the side effects of the medicine you just took, and that's the case with antibiotics. According, from what I've been told by my doctor, as soon as I finish a regimen of antibiotics, I need to start a regimen of probiotics because you've killed all those things that help with digestion and everything else. Now you need to restore them. Um, so that's kind of where we are. Okay. So I think we're about ready to call it quits. Remember, we're going to have a link down below. So next week, I'll just kind of show you the cover of the book. We'll talk about the contents. We'll give you a chance to buy the book and read it. I'll have a link for it. And as a matter of fact, I have a link here. Let me get up to the top. Um, So this is the book that we will be starting with um, and we'll do a quick cursory overview of it next Tuesday, a week from today. Then we're going to start actually into the book 2 weeks from today. So here's the schedule. We've got today, we've got this, and then tomorrow we're going to be doing the fifth generation warfare and the Chinese authors unrestricted warfare. We're going to be talking about that and some of the things you should need to be looking for and some of the things you need to be preparing for. Thursday, day after tomorrow, we've got Steve Smith coming on, the author of the Stonemont series, and we're going to be talking about his book 6, and I've got it here. So we're going to have the author on. We'll be discussing with the author book 6, Hostages of Fortune. A lot of great stuff in that. Then that's it for this week. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of this week, kind of an exciting week. I hope you all can join us. And so now let me get my book. So, did I tell you that Little Lone Prepper's son sent me the middle verse of this, and he made me a bookmark, and it's beautiful engraving and beautiful writing script on it. But it's basically the middle verse, and so the middle verse is let the Lord let His face shine upon you and be gracious to you. But anyhow, I guess that's because I use this in my lives. So Numbers chapter 6, verses 24 through 26. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord let His face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord look upon you kindly and give you peace. So hopefully I'll see you all Wednesday and Thursday both. Remember that we're all in this together so we can come out the other side together. Please, please, please. And I've seen it, and you all are just so fantastic with helping each other out. The comments in the chat are just fantastic. Thank you for being so supportive of each other, and thank you for helping each other. Thank you for your donations. I want you to know that the vast majority of that goes to help your fellow neighbors here in Central Texas who have needs. So be kind, polite, and respectful to each other. That's synonymous with what you already are. Remember that we're all in this together so we can come out the other side together. Take care. Have a great and blessed evening. See you tomorrow night. Let me get rid of these notifications and then I can end broadcast. There we go. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.